Hi, my name is Dr. Padilla. I'm a professor in computer science and psychology. I've been a professor for over 5 years now. We are in the height of application season, and you might be thinking about emailing potential PhD advisors, which is great. In this video, I'm going to give you the top mistakes that I see people do over and over and over again when they're emailing advisors, hopefully so you could avoid these mistakes and make sure your application gets approved. All right, I have 8 mistakes, so let's jump on in. The number 1 mistake is an unprofessional addressment. When I see addressment, this is like, dear so-and-so. And when I say unprofessional, in the US, there's some common cultural norms for emailing professors and other individuals, and that is usually dear, and then their title and their last name, okay? So what I would encourage you to do in the US is to write, Dear Dr. Padilla, comma. What I see sometimes people write are, Dear Professor, or Dear Professor Lace Padilla, or Dear Lace. None of that. Don't do any of that. You want Dear Dr. Blank. The reason I mention this is all around the world, there's different expectations for addressments. Sometimes professor or prof is considered more prestigious. In the US, just go with doctor, last name, comma, and you will avoid all potential mistakes. Number 2 on my list is emails that are clearly written by ChatGPT or with a form. A form letter is essentially where you have kind of the main components of your email laid out, and then you just fill in the blank with the relevant details for the person you're applying to work with. We can tell if you've written it with ChatGPT or with a form because we see lots of assignments that come in written in this way, and so professors have an eagle eye to detect if you've used either of those 2 tools to generate the letter itself. That's not editing the letter, but generate the letter. So what you want to do is write a professional, clean message that is personal, coming from you. So simply just don't use ChatGPT or a form letter. Write a personal message with your own ideas and your own insights to each individual professor, and that will be so much more successful. The 3rd mistake on my list is having an email that is too long. We often see these emails, mostly form emails, that are almost a page to a page and a half of content, which might seem great when you're writing it because you want to give professors, as much detail as possible, right? To be able to evaluate your potential application. Don't think about it like that. Think about this as a first meeting, getting to know you. So it should be precise and concise. My suggestion for the length is really a half page, where the first paragraph is maybe 2 sentences, maybe 3 max. That is an introduction about yourself. The middle paragraph is all about why you're excited about someone's research, the papers that you've read about theirs, the ideas that you think that are interesting, how you want to integrate your research with theirs, and then the final paragraph is a opening asking to see if you would be a good applicant or making the final closing statements, okay? 3 paragraphs, half page, not too long. In particular, what I see people do is a paragraph about themselves can take up to a page long, where they're detailing all of the things that they've done in the past. Not necessary. We're going to see your full application come in. This is just a getting to know you, seeing if there's relevant things that connect. You don't need to describe your entire research history in these introduction emails. Number 4 is related, and this is showing no evidence that you actually know about the person's work that you're applying to work with, okay? So what tends to happen in these form emails is there's these blanks for insert a keyword from professor's research, right? For me, someone might insert, uncertainty and visualization, as if to indicate that they know about what I do, and they just know that there's those 2 keywords on my website, right? So that doesn't communicate anything about their sincere interest in my research. What I would recommend doing is talking less about yourself and more about what you find interesting in that professor's research. So that requires you to do some homework. You need to read their most recent papers. You need to find things that are exciting. You need to be truly excited to apply to work with them specifically, and let that come through in that email. Number 5 is making no clear connection between that research and your interests or background. It could be that you love their research, you've read all their papers, great, but what you have done in no way kind of connects with that research. And I see this a lot where people will send me an email listing, all of the things that they've done in the master's, and they say, I think I'd be a great applicant for your lab. Why? Like, what is it about these skills that you've learned in your master's that will help you for my specific research? And usually there isn't much connection there. They've taken general classes, maybe nothing that specializes in visualization or uncertainty, which is what I do. And they just say, I think I would be a great applicant. Like, what evidence do you have that you'd be a great applicant? So you really need to make that direct connection And the unfortunate part is there might not be any real reason why you would be exceptional to work with that particular person. And I want this to be a piece of information for you that inability to connect your background with their research might be that this is not the best person to apply to work with. The trick is that it should be very clear that your expertise, everything you've built up throughout your life, has made you uniquely the best applicant to work with this particular person. So that argument should be easy. If you're having to, pull at threads trying to make the connection, maybe this isn't the best person to be contacting and maybe not the best fit for your research trajectory. Number 6 should go without saying, but I swear I still see it to this day, and it's spelling and grammar errors. If you have spelling and grammar errors, your email will probably be dismissed, unfortunately. Now, I had said don't use ChatGPT. I say do not use ChatGPT or large language models to generate content, but you can certainly use it to edit content. We have so many tools out there that there should be no reason you're making spelling and grammar errors ever in these emails. Utilize all the tools available to you and make a clean, polished email. There are no excuses. Number 7 on my list is too big of an ask at the end of an email. Oftentimes we'll see an email and the ask is actually something that doesn't seem like a lot on your end, but is a lot when many people are asking the same thing. Someone might ask, I'd love to have a 30-minute meeting to discuss my application. A 30-minute meeting with all of the applicants would be insane. That would be something like 30-minute meetings, right? That is way, way too much time. So asking for something big, like a time commitment from them, I think is not the right move. And really the issue with that is it's unclear how to respond. If someone asks me for a 30-minute meeting and I write back, can you clarify your research interests in my group? I feel like I'm being a jerk, right? Because they asked me to have a meeting and I just still have some more questions about if I would like to meet with them at all, right? So it makes me feel bad. And sometimes I won't respond just simply because I don't want to have those negative feelings. So don't give too big of an ask. Close an email with something kind of open-ended to see what they give back to you. So you could say something like, please let me know if you think I would be a good fit for an applicant in your lab. Because then the email they could send you is like, yes, you'd be a good applicant, or no, you wouldn't be a good applicant. And usually rather than say no, they're gonna say nothing at all, okay? And then once you start a dialogue, maybe that's the time to ask to meet at some point, or maybe not. This particular professor you're emailing might not be a meeting professor. They might not want to meet the candidates before they actually see the application. So you don't want to ask for something that they are unwilling or cannot do. Make the ask open-ended and see what they respond with. And finally, the 8th item on my mistakes that people make when emailing potential advisors is 3 follow-up emails. Okay, so the rule is you send 1 email. Okay, great. You don't get a response. It is fine to send a follow-up email in case someone forgot to respond back, they're busy, whatever, okay? If you don't get a response after the 2nd email, you do not need to send the 3rd email. So what could happen is this particular advisor wants to wait until they see all of the actual full applications come in before they respond to people. But if you're the person who sent 3 follow-up emails, you're gonna seem kind of needy. So that could color their interpretation of your application. An initial email and a follow-up is totally fine. The 3rd email starts to make you look pushy, and if you could potentially get interviewed or progress through the process, you might not if you do a 3rd or, God forbid, a 4th email follow-up. If you do not get a response back from the 2nd one, it might be rejection, or it might just simply be that they're waiting to evaluate all of the applicants at a particular time, or maybe they're waiting to evaluate all of the emails into a particular time. You do not know, but in any case, my friend, do not send out the 3rd follow-up email. All right, those are my top mistakes that people make when emailing potential advisors. Definitely avoid all of these and you'll be in good standing. I just want to say, don't take the rejections too harshly. The lack of response is usually the rejection. Really just stay persistent. Try to find sincere connections with research, and I would focus more on targeting individual professors that you're really excited about rather than doing a shotgun approach and emailing a ton of different people with less effort. That tends to be more successful. If you found this video useful, definitely consider hitting the like button and subscribe for more content on academic success. Academia can be tough, but you don't have to go through it alone. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.